Princess Adeola stood by her window, watching the sunrise over Olureke. Her heart felt heavy as she reflected on a painful truth. She was a princess, yet she had grown up suffering as an orphan in the kingdom of Olaoluwa. The only true love she had ever known came from Mama Tayo, the woman who raised her as her own child. Yet even with the weight of the past, Adeola's heart was filled with gratitude. Through Prince Kunle, her true identity had been revealed, and she was restored as the rightful heir to the throne. As she gazed down from the window toward the far side of the courtyard, she noticed Prince Kunle practicing combat with the kingdom's warriors. Their swords clashed with sharp precision, their movements strong, disciplined, and graceful. Adeola watched them quietly, her eyes filled with curiosity and admiration. "If I am to become the future queen of Olureke," she thought, "I must learn how to defend myself and my people." Without hesitation, she stepped away from the window and walked down the stairs, her long gown sweeping behind her. She did not care that the dress was fine and expensive. Her mind was made up. Prince Kunle noticed her approaching and smiled. He said, "Princess Adeola, you are awake early. Is everything all right?" Adeola looked straight into his eyes and replied, "Teach me." Kunle looked surprised. "Teach you what exactly?" Adeola answered firmly, "How to fight, how to use the sword, how to stand strong like a queen should." Kunle exchanged surprised glances with the warriors, then laughed softly, not in mockery, but in admiration. "If that is your wish, princess," he said, "then I will be honored to teach you." The first few days were challenging. Her gown made it difficult to move, and her arms trembled each time she lifted the sword. One of the warriors stepped forward and spoke gently. "My princess, that dress may not allow you to move freely." Adeola replied calmly, "Then I will wear something simpler next time." Soon she began wearing light training clothes, and her progress improved quickly. Kunle trained her personally, guiding her steps, correcting her stance, and teaching her patience and courage. Months passed, and Adeola was transformed. She became skilled with the sword. She learned to ride horses with speed and confidence. Her reflexes sharpened, and her spirit grew stronger. Kunle and the warriors of the combat unit began to admire her, not just as a princess, but as a warrior in the making. One evening, King Adewale watched from the palace balcony as she swung her sword with precision. The king smiled proudly and said, "That is my daughter, Princess Adeola of Olureke." And for the first time in a long while, King Adewale felt whole. After her training, the king took her to a secret chamber, a great hall where the kingdom's legacy was preserved. There, she learned about Olureke's past battles, its ancient laws, and the wisdom of the royal council. The people of Olureke continued to live in peace and happiness, rejoicing under their kind and just king. But just when the kingdom felt safest, danger struck, not from within the palace, but from beyond its borders. For weeks, strange footprints appeared near the farmlands. Hunters whispered of masked invaders who moved like shadows in the night. The chiefs dismissed the warnings, waving their hands in disbelief. Chief Arrow scoffed and said, "Superstitions. Hunters imagine too much in the dark. It cannot be real." Just before dawn, a loud horn shattered the silence of the kingdom. Olureke was under siege. Masked invaders stormed the lower town, burning homes and seizing livestock. They advanced without fear, pushing steadily toward the palace gates. The warriors struggled to hold the line, Fear spread like wildfire. The few guards on duty were nearly overwhelmed. Then Prince Kunle rushed out, sword in hand, followed by hundreds of Olureke's warriors. Together, they moved swiftly to face the invaders on the battlefield. Princess Adeola heard the screams and ran out, accompanied by 2 palace guards. One of the guards pleaded, "Princess, stay inside. It is too dangerous out there." Princess Adeola replied firmly, "I cannot hide while my people bleed." Her voice trembled, but her resolve did not. She grabbed her sword, mounted her horse, and charged toward the battlefield. On the battlefield, Prince Kunle fought fearlessly with all his strength. Adeola fought beside him, along with the other warriors. Yet, despite their courage, they were being pushed back. The invaders were too many. The kingdom crumbled inch by inch. Just when defeat seemed certain, Adigun emerged. Adigun, son of the soil, a son of a widow, a warrior known for quiet strength, deep discipline, and a heart both gentle and powerful. He stepped onto the battlefield like a storm. He came to the front lines because he loved Olureke more than he loved his own life. With his spear in hand, he fought like a man chosen by the gods, and indeed, the gods had chosen him. He disarmed invaders one after another. He shielded Princess Adeola when arrows rained toward her. He rallied the weary warriors who had nearly given up, and he forced the enemy back with fierce, unstoppable bravery. Even Prince Kunle, watching from a distance, was stunned. He whispered, "By the gods, who fights like this?" By the time the sun rose, the attack had been crushed because of Adigun. And for the first time, Princess Adeola looked at Adigun not just as a warrior, but as a man whose courage awakened something new in her heart. When King Adewale heard how Adigun had protected his daughter and saved the kingdom, he released a long, trembling breath. He said, "Such loyalty cannot go unrewarded." He ordered that the warrior, Adigun, be brought to the palace. As smoke still lingered over the kingdom after the battle, the people gathered in the palace courtyard. Everyone wanted to see the young warrior who had saved them. Inside the palace, King Adewale sat upon his beautifully carved throne, his golden crown glittering beneath the light. Age had bent his back slightly, but his mind and spirit remained sharp and wise. Adigun was brought before the king. For a long moment, the king simply observed him. A tall young man marked by past battles, strong yet humble, steady and respectful. A warrior truly born from the soil of Olureke. Princess Adeola stepped forward and spoke softly. "Warrior Adigun, today you fought not for glory, but for the soul of Olureke. You risked everything for us, for me. How can I thank you? I owe you my life, and so does this kingdom." Adigun bowed deeply, his eyes lowered, not in fear, but in humility. He replied calmly, "A princess's life is the life of her people. Protecting you was my duty. Olureke is my home, princess. Defending it is my honor." His voice was gentle and steady, so different from the mighty roar he carried only hours earlier on the battlefield. Their eyes met, and something quiet, powerful, and unexpected stirred between them. At last, King Adewale spoke. "Young man, courage like yours is rare. Today you fought as though the very breath of this kingdom lived in your chest. For this I honor you." The king raised his staff. "From this day forth, Adigun, you shall be the royal defender of Olureke." Loud cheers rose from the people outside the palace. Even Prince Kunle nodded in admiration, though a flicker of uncertainty passed through his eyes. Later that evening, Kunle walked alone through the palace garden, softly lit by fireflies. Though he was grateful for the kingdom's survival, his heart felt unsettled. For many years, Kunle had been the strongest male within the royal bloodline. He had always believed he would one day rule beside Adeola, not as king and queen, but as trusted partner shaping the kingdom's future. But now, a new figure had risen. A warrior the entire kingdom admired. A warrior Adeola seemed drawn to. Kunle clenched his jaw. I protected her identity. I brought her home. I stood by her, he thought. Yet the throne is hers alone. He did not envy the throne itself. His heart longed for purpose, recognition, and the chance to serve with meaning. From a distance, King Adewale watched him and sighed. He called out to Kunle. When Kunle reached his side, the king took his hand and spoke gently. Ah, Kunle, your destiny is different, but it is not lesser. You are a bright and honest man. I will ensure that you are recognized as an advisor to this kingdom. Kunle bowed his head, his heart slowly finding peace. That same evening, at the border of Olureke, the remnants of the invading army stood in bitter regret. Some soldiers lay injured on the blood-soaked ground, while others leaned on broken spears, their faces filled with fear and disbelief. Their leader paced furiously, fists clenched, armor stained with dust and blood. This was not how it was supposed to end, he roared. Then, from the shadows, a figure approached, cloaked in secrecy and shame. It was the king's concubine, Mistress Morenike. Her eyes burned with resentment. For many years, she had carried a deep bitterness in her heart. The king had humiliated her. He refused to give her a child, declaring that only his true daughter, Princess Adeola, would rule Olureke if she was ever found, and if she was not, then Prince Kunle would inherit the throne. But now, Adeola was alive. She had returned to claim her destiny, and Prince Kunle stood firmly by her side. There was nothing left for Morenike. Consumed by rage, she had sought out the invaders, promising them wealth and power if they destroyed Olureke and shared in the riches of the land. With a cold, vengeful voice, Mistress Morenike spoke to them. Kill Adeola, kill Kunle, and kill the king on the battlefield. When they are gone, the throne will be ours. But fate had other plans. The gods favored Olureke. From the chaos of war emerged Adigun, the great warrior of Olureke. With unmatched strength and skill, he cut through the invaders like a storm. One by one, they fell. The once feared invaders were utterly defeated, forced to flee and abandon Olureke. Furious and humiliated, the leader of the invaders shouted at Mistress Morenike. You lied to me. You said Olureke had no strong warrior. You said the kingdom was weak. Before Morenike could respond, a calm but commanding voice interrupted them. Enough. Lady Folashade had seen everything. Living in exile near the borders of Olureke since her banishment, she rushed towards them, concern etched deeply on her face. Morenike, what have you done? She asked in disbelief. You have betrayed your own kingdom. Morenike's eyes darkened with fury. She growled. You betrayed the kingdom first when you sent your men to kidnap and kill Princess Adeola. In a sudden and shocking move, Morenike snatched a sword from one of the fallen invaders. Stay away, Lady Folashade cried, but it was too late. Blinded by rage, Morenike plunged the sword into Lady Folashade's chest. She collapsed to the ground, lifeless. The invader's leader froze, staring at the blood dripping from the blade. "You are truly mad," he muttered, "and you are no longer useful to me." Overcome with anger and betrayal, he drew his own sword. "You deceived me. Your betrayal led my men to their deaths in Olureke." Before Morineke could speak, he struck. The blade pierced her body, ending her life instantly. As her lifeless form fell beside Lady Folashede's, the invader whispered bitterly, "You lied about Olureke and about Adigo." And there, at the border of the kingdom, the two women lay motionless, their bodies left to the vultures. Meanwhile, back at the palace, Princess Adiola sat by her window, replaying the battle in her mind. The moment arrows flew, Adigon had stepped in front of her. The moment she stumbled, his hand had steadied her. And when the warriors faltered, he had shouted, "Stand! Fight for Olureke!" Her heart beat faster. Her life had changed drastically since discovering she was royalty. Yet, whenever she stood beside Adigon, she felt something she had not felt in a long time. Safety, strength, hope. But she also knew the palace could be cruel when it came to matters of the heart. Soon after, King Adewale summoned the council. "If Olureke must stand strong after I join the ancestors," he said, "we need a princess who is protected and a guardian who is loyal." His eyes slowly drifted toward Adigun. Adeola's breath caught. Kunle lowered his gaze. The chiefs exchanged uneasy glances. At last, the oldest elder, Babaokun, rose to speak. "Your Majesty, Princess Adeola is the future of this land. If her heart leans toward the warrior who saved us, then the ancestors themselves have spoken." A murmur swept through the council chamber. Adeola lowered her head, her cheeks warm with emotion. Kunle swallowed hard, then stepped forward. With calm resolve, he said, "My king, father, uncle, Adeola deserves happiness, and Olureke deserves strength. If Adegun is the man who can walk beside her, then I will stand with them, not against them." The king's eyes softened. Adeola's eyes filled with tears, and Adegun bowed deeply, overwhelmed. In that moment, the future of Olureke began to change. King Adewale called his daughter closer. Bending slightly, he whispered into her ear, "My child, are you interested in the warrior Adigun?" Princess Adeola felt her heart race. She nodded softly. The king straightened and turned to face Adigun. He spoke firmly. "Warrior Adigun, are you prepared to take Princess Adeola as your bride and stand with Olureke?" Adigun dropped to one knee, bowing deeply. "Your Majesty, my loyalty is yours, my sword, my life, and my heart." He then turned to Adeola, his head still bowed. "Your Highness, if you will have me, I am yours." The people of Olureke erupted in joy. King Adewale lifted his staff and declared, "Then today, I bless your union. May the ancestors guide and protect you both." And on that very day, under the glowing sun of Olureke, their union was blessed, marking the beginning of a new era for the kingdom. The king looked straight in Kunle's direction and called him forward. Kunle approached with quiet dignity and bowed deeply. King Adewale placed a firm hand on his shoulder and spoke before the council. "Kunle, you have been more than a prince of Olureke. You have been my daughter's closest advisor, her shield, and her defender. Today, I honor you before this council and the entire kingdom. From this day forward, you shall be known as the guardian prince of the royal bloodline. I also appoint you as the chief advisor of Olureke." Conle bowed once more, peace finally settling in his heart as his efforts were fully recognized. The council nodded with deep respect, and the villagers watching from outside the palace cheered his name. Conle had always been known as a good and honest man, faithful, loyal, and selfless. In time, Conle married a noble maiden who admired his courage and loved him for who he truly was. Together, they began a strong lineage of loyal princes, men remembered not for power but for honor. Years passed. Olureke grew peaceful, united, and prosperous. In his old age, King Adewale often sat on the palace balcony, watching the kingdom he built flourish before his eyes. He smiled whenever he saw Queen Adeola ruling wisely beside her husband, the ever-faithful warrior Adigun, now called Dariro, meaning the fortress of Olureke. Under their leadership, abundance filled the land. Crops flourished, trade prospered, and the people lived without fear. From the palace balcony, King Adewale whispered softly to himself, "Olureke is united. My kingdom is safe. My daughter is home. And truth has won." The warm breeze carried his words into the fading sunset. Surrounded by peace and the legacy he had secured, King Adewale closed his eyes for the final time. He died a fulfilled king.
Thank you for staying with us till the very end. If this story moved you, please hit the like button. Tell me in the comments which part touched your heart the most. Don't forget to subscribe for more unforgettable stories like this one. And please share this video to spread the message of courage, loyalty, and truth. Until next time, thank you for watching.